Welcome back to my channel. Hello everybody. I'm so proud of me for doing this live. Welcome to my channel. Alright, let me see as always and make sure that I'm really live for the whole wide world, because I promise whenever I don't, something happened that should not happen. Welcome to my channel, y'all. Okay, so my name is Tiana. I do all kinds of things on this channel. Following my microlock journey is the biggest thing that I do, but I do a whole bunch of other things too on my channel, such as singing, other hairstyles, and let me say, because I don't want to forget, that I'm really hoping to do some more stuff that is geared towards natural hair, because I do have locks, but obviously my locks are only, I think God willing, I'll be 3 years in September, so they're new for me. And then before I had locks, I had natural hair for quite a few years, like over 10 years or something. So yeah, quite a few years. So yeah, so I hope to do some things. So some people have asked me about the products that I used when I was a loose natural, and of course I know there's people that watch my channel that don't have locks, so I want to make sure you get information as well. And so yes, I will definitely, somebody asked me about my conditioner, which I did mention in one of my lives, but I want to do a separate video just for it because I love it so much. The conditioner I use, being a 4Z type curl girl, and I know a lot of people watch. A lot of people, thank God, watched my last video about different hair types, because I have been getting so many questions from people and my clients and everything, just about like their hair type and what they have. So thank you all for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions, just let me know. I try to answer them as they come in. But yeah, sometimes it can be hard to tell what kind of hair you have. It's kind of like you have to look at it and play with it. Hi, Kyra. How are you? I'm going to make a special video for you about the conditioner that you asked for, so we can look at it, because I love that stuff so much. But yes, but we do that. And we also do sewing on this channel, so I am like so tired. I actually got to sew a dress for someone today, so I hope that they enjoy it and everything. But yeah, we worked on that dress all day, y'all, so I hope that it goes well so that they can use it. So that was nice. And so yeah, so I'm like, let me do this live before I start to wind down. But if you're interested in any of that stuff, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But yes, let's get into it. We're talking about the ugly stage as far as locks go. Now let me just say, I know that there are some people who are like, it's kind of like people that are like, don't call them dreadlocks because there's nothing dreadful about them. And the same people, or some of the same people, say, don't say they have an ugly stage, because why would you call your hair ugly? I am not like, I don't get offended by people saying ugly stage, but I do understand what it means. So yes, I'm not saying that anybody's hair is ugly or you know, because they call it the ugly stage, but your hair does change, and that's just part of your lock journey. It's part of your lock journey. So I want to do another video, God willing, on, I don't know what this one is doing. I want to do another video. I don't even know where does it go, on lock journey and what to expect, because I feel like some of the people that I work with, as far as doing their hair, they don't all the way understand the whole process. And I try to explain it to them. There's some people that don't understand and they want you to explain it to them, and then there's other people who do not understand and they get offended by what their hair looks like or what it's doing, but it's all part of the process. So basically, there will be a stage in your lock journey where your locks are not going to quite look the way that you want them to look. And this goes, again, you know, I was natural for, I think, like 12 years, give or take. So this is like with any hair journey, there could be a stage where you're like, oh, I wish my hair was this way, or I can't do this with my hair because it looks like this or looks like that. So just like somebody who does like a big chop, or somebody who, and you know, is now has to get used to their new length of hair, or somebody who's transitioning from relaxers to being natural, they have to adjust to their hair, and their hair is not going to do everything it would do if it was in its full healthy state. Your big chop hair is not going to do some of the styles that somebody's hair can do who has been natural for 3 years and they've been growing it and working on it. Heat damaged hair is not going to do the same. So it's a journey. It's a lock journey, just like it's a natural hair journey. So you have to embrace the journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. So we're going to talk about the micro lock ugly stage and the traditional locks ugly stage. And like I said, I'm not saying anybody's hair is ugly. And I know people get offended by the word, but I understand that. I understand what they're saying. So we're going to talk about it and see why people actually call it the ugly stage. So the thing is, I used to think that there was no ugly stage with micro locks. That's not true. Just not true. And I think it depends on your length. Like if you start off with a little bit longer hair, so let's say like, I would say like jaw length hair, then your locks, your ugly stage will be a little different than somebody who starts off on shorter hair. So if you start your micro lock journey off on shorter hair, your ugly stage is going to be different than somebody who has longer hair. So let's get into it. So let me start with actually traditional locks first, because I know a little bit more about those. And micro locks, at first I didn't think they have one, but they do. So really the ugly stage is about your hair. It kind of is like unruly. And this honestly is true for micro locks and traditional locks. But it can be very noticeable in traditional locks, and it also can be very noticeable for thicker, for shorter locks. I wanted to say for shorter locks. It can be noticeable. So it's kind of like, in the middle of your journey, at first you're like, oh, loving it because it's all new. And then out of nowhere, you're like, why my hair won't cooperate? Like, why it won't do what I want it to do? Why does it not look the way I want it to look? Like, what is going on? And that is when you're entering your so-called ugly stage. So your hair becomes a little bit unruly, and it doesn't quite lay the way you want it to lay, which makes it hard to style. It makes it hard to style because some people, when you get locks, you kind of just want to wear your hair out, you know, but it can't always be done that easily during your so-called ugly stage. It could be a little bit more difficult, and you might not be able to like wear it out, or just wake up in the morning and go, or you could be spraying it with water, or never sprayed it with water, and now you have to in order to make it do things, or you do spray it with water and it still is like you got a lock sticking up here, a lock sticking up there, just doing what they want to do. And like I said, it is a little bit more noticeable when they're shorter, because if a shorter lock is sticking up and it's not in place, it could be a little more obvious than like longer locks. If they're not in place, then they kind of would go wide like this, you know, but a shorter lock would like literally be sticking out. So it could make a big difference in how your hair is looking. So yeah, so that's kind of what happens with your traditional locks. And again, it is part of the stage, but if you make it through the so-called ugly stage, then you know right after you are into like your mature locks, like you're into your lock, your hair is understanding what the lock process is. It's going to condense. Now there's a part of the lock process which I don't think we broke down the whole thing yet, so we're gonna have to on this channel, but there's a part of it where your hair kind of swells, and that is part of the ugly stage. So it's like your hair is shrinking. It shrunk quite a bit, but it not only did it shrink, like it kind of shrunk and can't be stretched back out. Like it shrunk and it cannot be stretched back out, and it is making it a little bit hard for you to handle it and work with it. Hi, Sister Carolyn, how are you? So that's kind of how it goes for the traditional locks. They're swelling, they might be sticking up, they might not lay right for you, and this can all seem to happen out of nowhere. It also can seem to happen, especially for the micro lock people, after the first wash. When your hair goes back to like its more natural state, you're gonna see a difference too. And I don't think that's necessarily the ugly stage, but it's like a new process. I think after your first wash, your hair doesn't quite look the same as it did on that very first day for Microlocks. So for Microlocks, at first I thought they did not have one, but they definitely do, because there was a point where my locks were extremely fuzzy, and I think that is part of the ugly stage for Microlocks. So I've noticed it with my hair, I've noticed it with some of my clients' hair. There is a part we get to where your hair is just fuzzy. And at first I thought it was maybe the blow dryer, like the blow dryer in that instant that made it, because I usually do like a tension blow dry for mine, but it wasn't. It was just part of the locks. They just seemed like fuzzy. And so mine was a little bit longer, so they usually will lay for me, but there was definitely some days where I'm like, I don't know what happened, but it's just not quite laying right, even though it was a subtle. But me, because I pay close attention, to like little details in hair, I could notice, but somebody else probably couldn't notice. If it's your hair, you might notice it more. But for the Microlocks, most of their ugly stage is just them being really fuzzy. So they are starting to swell, but because it's so little, it's a little harder to tell, but they could get really fuzzy. Do not be alarmed. That is part of the process. And then after they get really fuzzy, then it will start to condense and start becoming more of a lock and taking its form and taking its shape. So just be on the lookout for that. I think that talking about the ugly lock stage is important because, like I said, so many people get locks, and just in your head you're thinking of mature locks, and you don't realize, because not everybody shares their journey, but there are a lot of people on YouTube that share their journey, but you don't realize what people went through to get to that final stage of the locks that you see, that you really like and you really enjoy the way their locks look. And you think that straight, off the jump, your hair is going to look like that, but it doesn't. It does look differently in the first few months, and then even after the first few months you're going to notice a shift, and your hair is going to seem uncooperative, and that is the quote-unquote ugly stage. But like I said, right after that, good things are coming, and your hair is about to really start looking like locks. So if you can make it through the so-called ugly stage, and you know that right after that you're gonna have those beautiful locks that you're really looking for. And that is, of course, if you started it the right way. If you didn't start it the right way, your ugly stage might be an indicator of what your locks are going to look like. So be careful. Be careful about starting your locks the right way. That is a whole nother story, a whole nother video. But, however, let me make sure I didn't. Oh, you also could get weird sizes during the ugly stage. So like this lock over here, like they could be in the same spot, but this one could seem shorter and this one could seem longer, because they're trying to form, and all of your locks are not going to form at the same time. So you're going to have some, especially if you have really curly hair, you have some that shrivel up more than others, because some start to form a little bit more than others do. Because I still have locks where I could see the 2-strand twist. I have to find some and show them to you, but I still have locks where I could see the 2-strand twist. So some of them that part didn't go through the ugly phase stage yet. It just didn't. It didn't do the whole transformation yet. It still is literally a 2-strand twist that can be untwisted. So your hair could seem strange because it could have different lengths to it during the so-called ugly stage. When exactly does it happen? I can't really say. I think it is different for everyone, but I feel like for traditional locks, it happens earlier than Microlocks. I think Microlocks, it takes a while for it to happen for the Microlocks, but it does happen. And then traditional locks happen like probably a few months after you get them, because usually traditional locks will start looking and being mature by that first year. But Microlocks take a good 2 years before it starts looking like it. And then lastly, how you handle it. Like, how do you handle it? How do you make it through the ugly stage? Styles is how you usually make it through. So If you got your hair freshly done, again, you might be used to wearing it, just wearing it out, just enjoying it, wearing it out. That is what I did. But when you get to the so-called ugly stage and your hair is not quite cooperating, a good idea is to start styling it. So be it if you are getting a retwist and you want to style it right after a retwist, be it if you get it interlocked and retied and you want to try one of those styles for interlocks, you know, like a style for locks, but you just got it retied, like a fresh retie. And you also can do like day-to-day styles, maybe pinning it up or putting it into ponytails. A lot of people do ponytails. If you're into scarves, then you can do buns, like different types of scarf styles, leave some pieces out. But there are ways to make it through your so-called ugly stage, and part of that is just styling it. So you have to get creative. Hopefully we'll show some more styles on this channel, but you can always look them up. Look them up on YouTube, all of those good things. Styles for short locks, you can look that up. Styles for long locks, whatever the case may be. And yeah, and then try some of those styles during your ugly stage. It will make it just a little bit better because your hair is not quite cooperating. But if you put in a style, then you feel like a little bit, you might feel a little more comfortable because you know this unruly lock that was sticking up when you woke up, you know that you put it into a specific place that it will stay in throughout the day. So styles will help you, scars will help you, those type of things where you keep your head covered, putting some of your hair up and leaving some down. Try those different kind of styles if you want to make it through the so-called ugly stage. But we all have one. We all have an ugly stage. So please be prepared. Be prepared for that time where your locks are shifting from you being a loose natural and just having your hair in coils or interlocked for a couple of days to your hair realizing that, oh, they want us to band together, condense together, and lock up. And if you do that, if you can understand that, then you know what the lock stage is. The one in the, you know what? It's gotten longer, so every once in a while it comes out, but because it's a little bit longer, I think it is, it's not this one. It's not even the first one that's in the back. It's the second one that's in the back. But because it's got a little longer, it like hides up there. It still tries to come down, and even when it's up there, it's not up there. Like if my hair's in a ponytail, it's not like participating in a ponytail. It's like standing on the sidelines with a ponytail. So if I make the wrong move or if I turn my head too quick, it's coming down because again, it's not a part of anything. It's not a part of anything that I do. But yeah, it's still being unruly. And it's not in the ugly stage. It's just unruly. Just does whatever it wants to do. But yes, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, any questions, and all that fun stuff. But yes, everybody has one. It is unavoidable. We will all have a so-called ugly stage. But there are things that you can do to kind of combat it. But there are not things that you can do to avoid it. You can work with it, but you're not going to avoid it. So yes, I hope this helps. Any other questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. Yes, Kyra, at least it's getting longer. At least it's participating in the growing process. I hope it continues to participate in the growing process. And you know, that's the one thing I can count on it to do. But thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you. Thank you for your comments, like Kyra, Sister Carolyn, those that joined the live and commented. And I know there's some of you watching that I may never know, but I do appreciate it. I do appreciate everyone that watches, tunes into the videos, and gives me your support. I finally have 1,000 subscribers, but I'm trying to get that 4,000 watch hours, which is hard to do. So I need all the help I can get. But thank you all for tuning in. I hope to see you in the next one. And until next time, adios.